I am so sorry I am late.
I don't care.
You're like the person whose approval I weirdly care about the most on some level. I was thinking about you though. So I put this Zoom podcast in my calendar while I was in Austin, Texas. So I thought I had 2 more hours.
The clip is not on the back of her head. It's at the front, which is the headline. I've never seen someone put the clip so forward.
Oh, my hair clip. Okay, so one thing at a time. I was just making a bagel thinking about you. I think about you every time I make a bagel.
Oh my God, I'm famous for bagels. Yes,
you are infamous, more than famous and infamous. So I do my clip like this. I do a very high pony.
Okay.
High on the side. It's like a mini facelift. Okay.
Oh.
And then I twist, put it in the front, roll it like a hot dog, move it back, and then clip it like that.
I like it. And because also that means you have to have nice that means that gives use to the nice clips that you buy. And
I'm pregnant. I started buying these hair clips. I used to do the J. Crew ones. Those were so expensive and I would lose them. I found these, I don't know where, but I saw this hack on TikTok where you can use a hair clip to be a tripod for your phone.
Same.
So that's why I bought these.
It's so smart. And you have that little wallet on your phone that I got too. Did they send that to you? I think they might have sent that to me. It's like a wallet and you could put a purse and make a phone purse.
Okay. So the purse, phone, wallet thing, I'm very picky about. I'm sure someone has maybe sent one, but I'm very specific about the kind I like. I do the bandolier. It only has a thing for credit cards. That's it.
You're right. I bought that one. I bought it. I didn't get sent it. It was Case Logic that sent. I bought that and I bought a strap to go with it. And I did like 3 walks and then stopped. But I felt like you're that mom now. You're that bitch now that has a purse phone.
It's a new pocket protector. Everyone thinks you're a loser, but I always know where my phone is. Because what I used to do is I would always have my phone playing music or a podcast so I could always find it. I always have it. I could be giving myself ovarian cancer, but I always wear it on my person. Yes.
Okay, I got to get back to that, except they have bandolier, you have to find a way to put the charger. Like you could have the charger somehow because you have to make a choice. Like you're either charging or you're pursing.
Yeah, but there's a charger port on the bottom.
No, like the extra charger that you could jolt it in the middle of the day or like that little Apple thing that you can attach. They could really guess.
You mean a charge charger?
A charge charger.
Okay, well, then I might take you downstairs and show you this new contraption I started using.
Okay, well, I can see, we haven't even gotten into the interview yet, but this is great. Wait, I have a water purse too, because if you're going through the airport, it's a water bottle that has a purse strap, so you've got 2 things going on. Okay. Here she goes, she's walking.
Hey,
and she's walking.
And we're walking through my house because I am, at this point,
a Karen.
I am so sick of these Silicon Valley dorks. Hold on. I'm sick of these Silicon Valley dorks.
She's trying to one-up me.
Okay, sorry.
The water purse triggered her.
Now that I've seen your TikTok and how sort of intimate it is, I'm fearless now. There's nothing I won't put on the internet after what I've seen you do to a bagel.
This entire interview is going to be based off of your 25 things you don't know about me. And I want to give Us Weekly a shout out because I've learned so much about so many people from that list.
That's the other one. I like that one too. But I don't like it when people don't tell their secrets. Tell me why you lost weight. If it's Ozempic or whatever it is, I don't care. Just share it. If you have some life hack, tell everybody about it. Like help make other people's lives easier. What else is the point of being a celebrity if you can't? Okay. So this is
wow. They're like body chaps she's putting on.
It is. It's like a vest you can wear. I'm not wearing underwear that has all these little pouches and then you zip it and it's actually a cute little vest. And you can put it over anything. And so I'll put the charger in one, I'll put the phone in the other, and then I'll just walk around while they're charging.
Okay, hold on. Let's just discuss something.
Okay.
Is that, are non-pregnant people allowed to wear that?
Yes. This I got before pregnancy. It's like do you know the exercise thing people are doing now called the rucksack, where you put like a backpack on of 30 pounds and you go for a walk? It's supposed to be amazing for you because they're now finding that We're so all over the place. I love us.
No, me too. This is what literally the girls said. This is what my interview with David Spade was like. It went nowhere and it never started and it never finished. It was like a free association of thought. So I'm happy. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. We're going to get there wherever there is.
We're like two puppies that finally get to play, I feel like. But I feel like your fans just want to know, like, I don't know, like just want us to be authentic and whatever. We're manic. And so I just throw this over something. I just throw it over something. I'm sick of carrying a purse. I'm sick of losing it. I'm sick of it turning into a flaccid ball sack when I put it down. The bottom of purses are disgusting. They're too expensive. I always fill water bottles in them.
No, because you have to have pouch. You have to have a pouch lifestyle. Every purse has to have a pouch in it. So when you go in, you either take the one pouch and transfer it, or it's also shaping your bags and you're putting your lip gloss and stuff. And so it's never going to hit the bottom of your nice bag.
Yeah. And then you reach in and you're just like, am I about to get impaled by something? Am I about to get tetanus?
But you don't have to. You can pull the pouch out and you don't have to deal with the purse. The purse is basically a facade for the interior.
Yeah, but then I have to have a pouch for my pens because one of the pens is going to explode. I always I don't know. There's a lot of things I need to carry with me. And I also feel like I'm so psycho now about trying to stay hydrated. There's no water bottle that's not eventually going to unscrew in your purse, turn upside down. I also, have you done this yet? Where
that's why you need a water purse.
Is that a thing?
I bought them, and yeah, it's a purse. It's a half the size of this bottle, and it's got a chain. It basically looks like your bandolier bag, and you can carry it around.
Oh, okay, got it. I don't know. We're not Saving Private Ryan. Like we're not.
What are you talking about? You have a fucking military vest with pockets. You look like you're on the set of MASH. I'm not trying to be polite because you're a guest in my home, but that's ridiculous. I cannot believe you just came. We're not in Saving Private. You are in Saving Private Ryan with that thing. You have to put that on your social media. It's not okay. Let's start here. Whose baby are you carrying?
That I'm not going to tell you, but
Wait, you're like January Jones.
Thank you.
Do you remember, like she was pregnant and no one knew whose baby it was?
Oh, that's right. No, but he's wonderful, and he's not a public person. Yeah, I have 3 weeks. I have 3 more weeks, and then I'm having my first child.
Congratulations! It's the best thing in the world.
Did you have, when you had your daughter, did you have like a boy name and a girl name? Because I'm in the market for a boy name.
Yes, but they were both generic and could kind of be either, I think, in the beginning.
Well, what was
yes, it? Kind of. Well, Bryn couldn't be really necessarily be a boy, but Casey was one that
could
have
like
been
Casey.
either. And I think we changed her middle name. I think we first had her as a different middle name and then changed it and had to legally change it. I changed my mind. And literally, she already had a legal name change.
Can I ask you, what does that look like? A couple women I know, and it's always women I really like, they go, after like 2 weeks, I realized he wasn't a Solomon. He was a Marcus.
Oh, that's hilarious. I know she was going to be a Bryn, but I think the middle name was Alex. And the reason I wanted to change it was in case I ever had a boy, and then I wanted to save it. It's all blurry now.
Look, my last name is Cummings. It's a tough pairing. It's a tough handle. I wanted to name him Maximus. I realized that's not fair to him. He's going to get bullied regardless. But so I feel like I had a list of 50 girl names that I liked, and there's like 3 guy names at this point. It's like Miles, Julius, Henry, like I can't, that's all I got. But I feel like that's whatever.
Well, Miles Cummings is a great name, but also it's speaking to Cummings, like Miles, like Miles. Miles of Cummings. Yes. Which is good, healthy.
It's a lot of cum. It's just how much cum you need to get a woman pregnant naturally at 40, that's for sure.
Right.
So, didn't even put that together. So now I only have 2 names. I feel like anytime I see a video of a gender reveal party and it's a girl, you always see the honest reaction of the people. You always see the dad be a little bummed when all that pink smoke comes out. You know what I mean? He's kind of like, I just paid for a helicopter to drop pink smoke on my pool, and it's a freaking girl. You know, or if it's a boy, you'll see the guy be like, yes, like you'll see his real reaction. I always find them awkward. And 3 people have died in gender reveal parties so far.
What?
And 3 people have died, and there's been over 800 acres of forest fires from gender reveal parties. There's a really horrifying video of a guy in a plane dropping the smoke on the party, and the plane just crashes. It's psychotic. These gender reveal parties are probably, they gotta stop.
Well, I guess it's, for every birth, there's a death. So I guess it's sort of symbolic.
There you go. But it's also wild because, you see people and you're like, I guess this is for content. I guess this is so they can put it on their social media, So I think we're lucky. We just get to open the fridge and start cooking at 2 a.m. and hit 5 million views. Not everyone gets to do that, Bethenny.
It's true. It's true. That reminds me of engagements that are always documented by a group of friends.
Okay, so that's a nightmare because when I got engaged, it didn't end up working out. But when I got engaged, he had the photographer hiding in a bush in Topanga Canyon, right? And Jason Momoa lived across the street with Lisa Bonet back when they were together.
Okay.
And so the engagement happens. He gets down on one knee. There's like a horse, the whole thing. And then I was like, oh my God, I wish we had photos of that. He's like, we do. I have a photographer in a bush. I'm like, what? And we go over the bush. It's like, he's not here. This is so weird. And we call the photographer. We finally talked to him. He goes, Jason Momoa was working out and thought I was paparazzi trying to take pictures of him. And I thought he was going to kick my ass. So I left. I wasn't able to get any of the photos. And so can you guys redo it? And I was like, what? So we had to fake a new spontaneous proposal. And that's when I kind of knew it wasn't going to work out.
That's very Housewives. And
it is.
That's very Housewives. And did you get a store credit?
A store credit for what?
Yeah, did you have to pay the guy and then he didn't get?
No, we paid him. It was like he was scared of Jason Momoa.
You're the first person I would want to do a podcast with, because we have we could talk about nothing all day. It's
correct.
Unbelievable.
That's what Seinfeld was, a show about nothing. Maybe we start the podcast about nothing.
Let's just call this is nothing, and this podcast has no point.
But we've also kind of covered everything. I think we can outdo ourselves. I think we'll do it over and over again. I do now, it's interesting. Like the eating disorder stuff, I look back now and I can really sort of laugh about it. I mean, the phases that I went through, and just because that eating disorder is about control, grew up in an alcoholic home, something I never put together is that my mom definitely had an eating disorder. She was definitely anorexic. Like when you're young, that doesn't really cross your mind.
No.
Our fridge had 2 artichokes. There was cheese and crackers, but that was always for the guests. And she would eat very little. I always thought it was because she was an alcoholic and she wanted the wine to hit harder, or the wine had calories. So she had to kind of pick her calories. But very anorexic. I remember she would get compliments. She was beautiful. And she would always say, someone would say, you look great. She'd go, I have to lose that last 5 pounds. I got to get rid of this last 5. She would always say that. And she was tiny, 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 tiny. And, it's interesting. She always said, my thighs are touching. That was my thighs are touching. Like your thighs shouldn't touch. Like that's how, thin she was. Her noise, is that what it's called?
That was her noise. That was her noisy place, about her thighs.
Her thighs, she was always when I'd walk behind her, she was always touching her butt, she would kind of squeeze herself, kind of looking back, I guess my psyche just couldn't process it at the time. It's just, too dark. And then, so for me, I think it was more control. I did model young, for money, in high school and college, but I was before that. It wasn't, I can't blame Vogue or Kate Moss or any of that. I think, when you grow up in an alcoholic home, you have such little control. There's so much chaos going on. And my dad was very, kind of a Lothario. He did skinny, tiny women. I think I just learned tiny. You have to just be tiny. And I'm not a tiny person. In the slightest. So by, 12 or 13, earlier than that, I was binging though. I would say it started with overeating, eating 2 entire boxes of cereal, a whole thing of Weaver chicken McNuggets. I was overweight and would binge first because, there weren't people around. I think that's how I got love. I think that's how I isolated. I would eat so much that it would kind of incapacitate me. So I would have an excuse for why I didn't have more friends. I'd be like, oh, well, even if they did ask me to hang out, I couldn't.
We have a lot of similarities. So what age are these memories mostly shining through? 13, 14, I'm feeling? It sounds like that, right?
The binging on cereal, the Cocoa Pebbles, Fruity. I mean, I remember I would have like cuts in my mouth because I couldn't wait for the milk to soften the Apple Jacks, that was earlier. That was probably 7, 8, 9.
Wow.
And then, yeah, I remember like eating Captain Crunch, that peanut butter Captain Crunch, just like inhaling it.
Anxiety eating.
Yeah, I think it was panic eating, anxiety eating. Also, we didn't sit around a table. My parents had gone through a divorce. Like there was no structure. Like I bless my mom's heart for working. Our moms were the first generation that were working,
What? Same.
Didn't have time to, cook for me, whatever. But I do think I was very addicted to sugar. I was addicted to the shame of it. I was addicted to isolating with it. And then,
but that's not an age that you even know about eating disorders or that somebody's overweight or not. You're just living your own life. You can't attach emotion to the food. That's what you're doing. And I've seen this in other kids. That's why I'm saying that.
And it's interesting because I would go back and forth from not that getting a divorce is always unhealthy, but going from my mom's house to my dad's house, my mom's refrigerator was artichokes and, bubbly water and Diet Coke. And then my dad's was just cereal and trash, So by the time I went to his house, I was just like so hungry,
It's literally binging and purging.
That's exactly it. So then I go to my mom's house and I would starve and she'd be like, how did, And so then by the time I was a teenager, full blown rice cakes, apples would go for 3-hour runs.
What age are you saying? 14 or 16?
By 14. I would say by 14, I guess it would just be anorexic. I guess you would just say anorexic, like severely restricting, but I would eat a lot of low calorie foods, like a huge amount. It was like apples, rice cakes, fat-free yogurt. I'd eat like the whole thing of rice cakes, a whole like 5 or 6 out. And then I would go for, like a 2 or 3 hour run.
My house growing up, I think I was my daughter's age, like 13. And I remember my mother had a cart of laxatives. I remember it like it was yesterday, like a plastic white with the drawers. And I didn't understand what it was. It was like, I thought she just couldn't go. And then we'd be in the car and she'd drink a lot of coffee and I'd have to stop. And like, so this was, and there was like the bacon cheeseburgers dripping and raw and drenched salads because she was binging and purging. And there was a very like an anxiety in the house, like because she'd have to like take a long time in the bathroom after meals. And so this was all this like secrecy and hidden stuff going on in my household. So that was like noisy. And her method, because you didn't talk about how your mom treated you about your body, because my mother would say that like tempura at the Japanese restaurant isn't fattening because of the way that they fry the oil, the Japanese. So like she would kind of I would be eating a lot and then I was struggling with my weight and I would read all those magazines that had like half a cantaloupe, there was one called the Flight Attendant's Diet. Every week in those magazines would be a new page. You'd want to rip it out, try it for 2 days, but it was sort of secret and you were going to school and listening to what other people are saying. So for people who have teens, it happens quickly. Like my daughter's 13 and I've never mentioned a thing in all these years about weight or I don't like anyone around talking about, I have to lose weight or I don't look good in these pants. Like there's zero, but you can't control what goes on at school. So that's why I'm relating to you on a different side of the coin, but like the same time of your life, of a girl's life.
I remember because there would be, I remember it's just funny and I don't mean to laugh because at the time, these people were struggling, but like a diet was like cottage cheese and Triscuits,
Right.
Like that was like supposedly low fat. And you like think about it now and you're like, well, that's like a cheat day, like kind of or whatever. But I remember, that's what I would bring to school. Cause that when my mom made me lunch, that's like all so I was like the weirdo at school who had like Triscuits and cottage cheese. Like I had the lunch bag that was just like wet and just like it was my mom worked at Bloomingdale's. So it was a little brown bag. Like I always had like a Bloomingdale's bag, it was just so weird. And another thing that you made me think of, I remember one time finding Dexatrim. Do you remember that? It was
of course.
Quote, weight loss pill. It was, I think probably just a lot of caffeine. And I remember I used to sneak that and try to take that, but I would find like weird, sketchy diet pills that probably never
That's one thing that's better about now. It's different. People are obsessed with intermittent fasting and juicing and cleansing and Ozempic. Back then, you're right. Like there was a diet that said like one hot dog, half a cup of coffee, and then you could have one scoop of vanilla ice cream. Like it was all random. And it was very Scarsdale diet, Atkins diet. Like every week there was a new thing that you'd grip onto. The Slim Fast bars came out.
There was one that was like steak and wine.
Exactly.
Kind of thing, which I think I'm kind of into that one. Remember But like also we were all a little off, like remember the food pyramid when we were
100%.
it was like the whole bottom was like loaves of bread, like French bread, potatoes, like a big pile of beans. Like it was just like psycho,
and measuring. They wanted you to measure your food. It was so noisy to begin with. You're starting off. The food pyramid was totally insustainable.
Yeah. Well, it was just, I mean, and I think everyone's bodies are different, whatever. But so then by the time I get to high school, I'm full blown. It's just about being as skinny as possible. It's just about being as skinny as possible. And something I will say that is, when people struggle with severe anorexia or severe overeating stuff and being really, really heavy, I've learned a lot about how there's some childhood sexual abuse sometimes involved in that. So, it's about sort of making yourself either unappealing or not feminine or not sexually attractive or protecting yourself by being heavy and stuff. So I feel like I always need to kind of say that. The same, I was reading something about people that get a lot of plastic surgery sometimes and get super dysmorphic, that they're trying to change the face of change the person that was molested or something. So
interesting.
There's a lot of like other stuff in here. And we absolutely had some, inappropriate stuff go on in for me as a child too. So I don't know what was what.
You're talking about sexual stuff?
Yeah, sexual abuse.
Same. Like me too. You remember things and your mind plays tricks on you, but you like the father's friend and you think like you remember the moment too clearly about a couple of people, but like you just dealt with it and you almost feel like fraudulent if you came out and talked about it specifically because it feels hazy, but it's true. That kind of thing.
Yes. And I know a couple situations that were absolutely true. I think I was confused for a while because one of them was a woman. And, back in the day, babysitters, you didn't get them off apps where they were vetted. It was just like, does anyone on the street have a 13-year-old son? Like that was your babysitter back then.
Totally. I was physically abused by a babysitter too. That's totally true. Anyone could smack you. Anyone could beat, spank you.
Oh, I would go to friends' houses. I would get literally against a wall with a ruler by someone else's dad.
Exactly, which doesn't happen at your own house. Exactly.
No, you can't even find that on Pornhub, but they even take that down. So it was so there is some of that. I have no reason to have needed to be that skinny, so there was obviously something else going on. I'm sure, it made people kind of, I've talked to people that I went to high school with, it made people kind of like scared to talk to me. And maybe I liked that in a way because I was really awkward socially. And I was very, a loner kind of, and maybe I never went to lunch and sat with the popular girls. I went and ate raisins in my car, shit like that.
Insular, isolated.
And then by the time I got to college, it just was weird. Like it was like I would take these Swiss Miss powdered hot chocolate. I would buy like 5 or 6 boxes at the grocery store, pour them in a bowl, put water in them, the ones that only had 20 calories, and mix them up, put it in the microwave and turn them into like a cake.
Wow. You know what? It sounds though like you were obsessive because I relate to that too. So you needed like a new project, like, oh, this is the diet. I'm only eating 1 rice cake, 2 apples, like a weird formula. It becomes your own. I don't know if you're like that now. I still am, but in organizing and like getting rid of things and nothing extra. It's obsessive and it's a problem.
So it's like, if someone was like, hey, do you want,
avocado.
to have this avocado toast that probably has less calories and less fat. It's not, I know how this ends. I know how this works. I have, by the time I, got to LA, it was turkey jerky and maple syrup, just weird. And then I went through.
Allowed. Those were allowed, like popcorn, you were allowed, but others are forbidden foods.
Yes. Then it was carrots and ketchup, carrots and barbecue sauce. Like it just was condiments, like weird condiments, shit like that. But stuff that ultimately I think made me need to hide because it was embarrassing.
Yes.
And it was never something socially accepted and something that made me feel some shame afterwards. So it was just bizarre. I definitely went through those seaweed things. Sometimes I'll see you eating those seaweed things, but the wasabi seaweed sheets.
Yes. But that's new. Like how has this manifested as a woman in Hollywood and then as a pregnant woman?
I got to the point, there's a couple things. I went to a program called ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics, that is about growing up in an alcoholic home and all the sort of maladaptive behaviors that you get very honestly in order to survive as a child. They serve you very well. The people pleasing, the mothering, martyring, micromanaging, self-depriving, control addiction, perfectionism addiction, the overachieving thing. And then went to that program, was a total miracle, really helped me. You do these like inner child exercises of like, you treat yourself the way you would treat a 5-year-old child. It's kind of sounds dorky. You write her letters, you write the question about what do you want to eat today in your right hand. You respond as her in your non-dominant hand, and she'll say like peanut butter and jelly. And you go, well, that's what we're eating for lunch. And I also got sick of wasting so much time. I did read this book called The Tools by, Phil Stutz and Barry Michaels. Phil Stutz is like the biggest like therapist, out here. And there's this exercise called the deathbed exercise. And it just resonated with me. It's like you imagine yourself on your deathbed and you picture all the things you're going to be like annoyed you wasted time on. And I remember being with Busy Phillips. I'm sure you know Busy. We were like working on something, and she was like, if I'm on my deathbed going like, I can't believe how much time I wasted thinking about calories and food. And I went, that is going to be me.
Interesting.
Like just how many was that? And what am I going to eat next? And what did I eat today? Now I have to go on a walk and it's a full-time job. And I'd be like, I feel like I'd be the most successful person in Hollywood if I just took the energy I spend on like driving around the city, getting that one protein bar. That's the safe protein bar this month.
Oh, wow.
And
that's me with organizing, to be honest with you. Like that's me with organizing.
Have you ever hired someone to come in and do it for you, or you won't?
I could do it for them.
There is though. Do you ever play like Tetris or any of those games? I started going back to playing old games. It's like the symmetry of the T in Tetris, like that video game?
Yes,
remember
yes.
Those things are falling. It's very soothing to organize and put things in their place and know where they are. But that's
Pac-Man. I was always obsessed with Miss Pac-Man, and it's very satisfying, and it's very much like that. And the thing is, because of the crazy amount that I have going on in my life, the being organized is also critical. So it's like you have to be in a relationship with it.
That's right.
So I have to be in a relationship with being organized because I couldn't do all that I do without it. So it's not like it's not like pulling me down. It's actually great, but it's something I can't, even when I talk to my therapist about it, it can be improved, but it cannot be intervened. It can't be, I will go on to my deathbed still being organized. Like my coffin will have labels inside of it. But
is that bad? I mean, people.
No, right. It's like working. Yeah.
By the way, people get mixed up. Their coffins get mixed up all the time. That's a real thing.
That's fair.
You're looking at my podcast studio, which is like the Pee Wee's Playhouse, like chaos den. I'm the same with organizing. Like I don't know. I don't think we should have to over pathologize everything about ourselves. Like, because number one, it's also just like a hobby. People are like, oh my God, you're going to recopy the labels again. I'm like,
it's fiddling. I call it fiddling, and it's true. People garden. They want to fuck around in their garden. It's fiddling, and I like it too. So it's a great point.
I found a new system. There's a new system. It's like, it's like the fact that we're still on metric or whatever, and everyone like, we should update new systems if they're not like, because I went through it organizing. I went through the wicker baskets and then I'm like, I can't see my shit. So then I went through the plexiglass basket. I'm like, this is better. But I'm like, wait, now there's a version with drawers. Like now I'm getting those. Like
it's fun. It's like gambling. It's for the entertainment too.
Yeah. And it's also like home decor too, It's also, I think it's really important, especially because I think people like us, we always want to grow and we want to change. And I'll look at things and I'm like, that's okay. I do have a wrapping paper closet.
Oh my God, I do too. I have a room. I have like a candy spot. Totally.
Amazing. But like I was pathologically thoughtful. That's an ACA thing for a while. And I gave too many gifts for a long time because I didn't think I was enough. And I had the whole like shelf of diptyque candles just in case someone came over.
I tell you, I have a gift life. I started on Halloween. We are the same. This is crazy. I have a gift obsession.
Me too. And I think
I love it. I love it. I live for it.
It's how we show love. And to me, I feel like because everyone always thinks I'm being sarcastic, it's hard for me to be genuine with people when I'm like, I love you, you're such a good friend, or I have to make a joke, or people assume. So I really like giving gifts because it's like and also like, it's a nightmare out there. And like a $60 to $80 candle, no one should ever buy that for themselves. You know
Never.
what I mean?
And it's systematic too, though, but it also is satisfying. Like it costs money. You send it out, you wrap it, you send it in FedEx. It looks good. They get it. I live for it. I do it all year round too.
It makes me feel so. My goal in life was always to be Santa Claus. I saw Santa Claus at a mall and went, I want to be that guy. But then I go, okay, it can't be an entire thing. I'm not as successful as you. So I'm like, okay, I need to take this down a little bit because this is a little bit of a vestige when I had way too low self-esteem and I thought I had to send a thank you card after I got a thank you card. So I think that updating our organization is also a way of showing our growth, And so like I had this whole thing of the press on nails section. I'm like, I don't really do that anymore. I used to be super obsessive about my nails and then I can't get anything done. And then one breaks and that's all I'm thinking about. I was like, that became a weird sick addiction and obsession and perfectionism,
because that's a circular reference. You have to go get the manicure again and get it filled in. And then you have to, I need to reorganize this because this is actually a negative contribution to my future self. So when I upgrade something mentally to get healthier, so it's not unhealthy to go, I need to organize this again. It's not pathological. It's just that we're not here. We're not in this place anymore. Well, everything doesn't have to be healthy. You could eat Cheetos and you don't have to go to jail. I'm saying it's like not healthy, but like some TV shows aren't healthy, but you're doing it. It's like, it's not a guilty pleasure, but it's something that you're doing. Being overly healthy is also unhealthy. Do
you know about Barbara's Cheese Puffs?
Like Barbara, the health brand?
Yeah, they have cheese puffs.
Yes.
That are like Cheetos. They're delicious.
But I think all that cauliflower shit too. It's that hippies respectfully to. It's a scam. It's a scam. I think just eat the real thing.
Barbara's Cheese Puffs. What is it made of? Because I just ordered a bunch of them. I don't know that if it's cauliflower though.
No, I know, but I'm just saying. Like, if you look at a Frito, there are 3 ingredients: corn, oil, salt. So that's it.
This is cornmeal, aged cheddar, pasteurized milk. Yeah. I agree with you. Like the cauliflower rice and the all that shit. I'm like, I'm just going to be hungry in 5 minutes.
And it's also mixing together a bunch of other shit, which is a different process. So that's what I think about that.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So the alcohol in your house, because I grew up also with a mother who was an alcoholic, and there are different styles. I remember each drink, like the special drink phases, like what the drink order would be. But there are different styles. Some people, they call it French type, where they're just always having a drink and then into the late night drinking. But it's not like a fifth of vodka in the toilet holder behind you and the person's like blackout. It's just like always sort of marinated. That was my house combined with the cigarettes and the bulimia. Ooh. What was your style in your house of your mom? Like embarrassing or like what was it?
I love this question. And first, I'll say it helped me to hear in order for alcoholism to be present, alcohol doesn't have to be present. And that's not just because alcohol is being hidden or whatever, but there's other forms of isms, compulsive behaviors, and stuff like that. So if someone's listening and they're like, yeah, my life was chaotic as a kid and I sort of understand all this, but I never saw alcohol. Like I was kind of the same way. My mom was a socialite. She was, worked at department stores and she always had like a glass of white wine. It was the white wine spritzer. It was always like a spritzer, like
dieting while being an alcoholic is hard.
Well, the ordering was always too apologetic. Like I look back now and it was like looking at the menu. Like I would do this when I had eating disorders and I was out with people. And I would go like, I would pretend I was being rushed, or couldn't make a decision. I'd be like, should I get the burger? Should I get the spaghetti? Or, you know what? I'll just have the Caesar salad, no dressing. That's fine.
Oh, a throwaway comment.
There was like a performance to it to try to convince people that I would have ordered the spaghetti or the hamburger, but like I'll just do Caesar salad dressing on the side. I'll just have some of your spaghetti.
So triggering. Wow. That is
sorry.
Wow. No, it's very honest. And most people with eating disorders don't want to give it up because then they can't go back to it because everybody knows. Like once you say it, you're saying it. Now, if you ever have a little of that behavior, it's so exposed.
But also, like, maybe it's just because I've gone through it. Like when I see someone doing it, I'm embarrassed because I'm like, I can't believe I thought I was pulling that off. Like, I can't believe I thought that people were so dumb. I mean, if there's a lot of people, you can kind of get away with it. Like, I would, because my mom, I always watched her, if she got vegetables, like sauteed vegetables, if she couldn't get them steamed, she would, pat it with a napkin to get all the oil off, which we now know, like, and then as an adult, I would kind of like accidentally drop, when I was 24, 25, I would accidentally like drop my napkin on like a greasy vegetables and be like, oh my God, fucking hell. Like shit like that, so that I didn't look, like I wouldn't eat fat, but I'm in LA. Everyone does shit like that, but I'm still doing this rigmarole performance to try and eat in front of people. I would sit in my car and pretend I was running late or whatever. I mean, I'd probably already eaten like 12 protein bars, kind of thing. That I'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm late. It's fine. I'll just get like a side of something. In and out.
Wow. And what about now though? How's your relationship to this? Pregnant is another layer.
Pregnant's been like, it's amazingly healing because your body's like, this is where you're eating today. And I'm not just eating for an inner child that's a metaphor. It's an actual inner child. So again, the 12-step program of ACA really helped me with my eating stuff. I started eating to live and living to eat, all that inner child work. The dysmorphia really lifted around then, especially when I started working a lot and going like, I started loving something more than hating myself, which was stand up and performing and touring. And I realized I have all these big goals. I can't possibly accomplish them if I'm always distracted by food. I'm hungry. I'm in a catatonic sugar coma. Go to the gym 3 times a day, going for walks 4 times a day, counting calories. I just was like,
but something shifted. How old were you? Because something usually shifts. You remember one weird thing that happened.
Around 26, I went into ACA. And I started really helping, and I got a stand-up special. And I was like, I am not going to screw this up because I'm thinking about food. I am not going to screw this up because I've drank 5 Diet Sunkist today and not had any protein. This is it. Like, this is it, And also like, I was like, all of a sudden you're in hair and makeup and stuff like that. And I was like going bald. I was like, my hair was falling out,
Yeah. I had disordered relationship to food. I never threw up. I can't stand throwing up. I used to binge when I would go out and I would drink a lot and I'd come home and binge and then I'd go on some sort of juice cleanse or fast for the next couple of days. But in my late 30s, I remember I was going to Italy and every time I had ever gone away to a trip like that, I had always like gotten the antipasto or all the vegetables. Those were legal. Even if they were in 10 pounds of oil, like for me, those were legal. Like you talk about your stuff. And I would never touch the pasta or the paella. And then I would binge on it and get swollen. And it was just like a bad ride. And I vowed that I was going to Italy and I was going to have everything. And that was when it became like small, full fat cappuccino, not torturing someone because they don't have skim milk, or like small gelato. And like, that's how the book Naturally Thin came to be, because it became like, your quote unquote diet, which is the worst word, is a bank account. Like if you have a little of this, don't have that. If you're having wine, don't have bread. If you're having bread, don't have dessert. And it became like have a small pasta, and it became so balanced, and it changed my life. It just sort of evolved, and it wasn't noisy. So it wasn't ever a disorder, really. It would be moments of binging and moments of discomfort. But it did run my life, like you were saying. It was noisy. But then one day it just like lifted because of being just a normal human being.
And you're making me realize like how I did this movie where that was in England, the one that I was on with Busy Phillips. It was called Maid of Honor. And I didn't have all my control foods. I couldn't go to Pink Dot on Sunset and get my Alberto turkey jerky. I couldn't,
Right.
And it was this back when movies had these big budgets. It was this big romantic comedy. Patrick Dempsey was huge at the time. And I really wanted to be friends with Busy Phillips. And she wanted to go to Whole Foods and get a thing. And I wanted to get exactly what she was getting so that she, would think I was cool or whatever. And I just to fit in on that set and to not look crazy. And also because I wasn't able to get the Swiss Miss cocoa bullshit nonsense that I was getting here, I was eating, some bread with hummus. And then I was eating, I don't want to say normal, but I would go to Whole Foods and we'd get the kale and eggs and egg salad and stuff.
You were a person. You were a normal person. I
actually started losing weight. I was like, wait a second, all these things because I would drink like 3 ice blendeds a day. I'd have like, these smoothies. I'd have like Hershey chocolate syrup. Like I was eating high sugar like I wasn't even good at being anorexic because it was like very high. I was eating these protein bars, those like tiger milk bars. Like those are basically Snickers bars,
I did the same thing at the Big Chill in West. I used to go get the large
Big
Chill.
I lived at the Big Chill.
And I was broke, and a container of brown rice from the Chinese place. And I'd eat the whole big container and a giant yogurt, like versus just having a small of something normal now, like ice cream. It's okay. Exactly.
Just have like a chicken sandwich and it's going to actually be less calories and less sugar. So because remember back in the day, like Snackwells, like all that shit, you know, it was like low fat, high fat, low sugar is actually, you know, way better. So I stopped eating so much trash. I was anorexic, probably eating 4,000 calories a day.
I really, really get it. Wow. Okay, so more importantly is you put on lotion in the middle of the night when you go to pee. Have you what's the wiping and the lotion? You're putting your hands on your face. You just sat down to pee. You haven't yet wiped.
Oh, you know what's weird? Oh gosh, I never even thought about. So no, I do in the middle of the night, I reapply grapeseed oil to my face because, I mean, you probably sleep with a silk pillowcase.
No, I don't.
Really? The silk pillowcase really helps because what happens is, I mean, I've just found, you know, that you get all these amazing products and, you know, I do the derma rolling, which is like the roller that puts like the tiny micro needling in your face. And then I'll put the product on and then you lay down and then you put your face on your cotton pillow and it just absorbs all of your product and what leaches all the oils in your face. And then for 8 hours, you're just lying there. So I grew up half like on a farm and I just treat my skin the way that we used to treat saddles, which is you never leave them wet, ever, ever, ever. You never let them out in the sun and you oil them every day. Like the way, because our face is basically leather, you know? So to me, I never...
You're a face feeder.
I mean, you gotta. It's like, this is when OCD really works for you. So when I get up in the middle of the night, you know, I've got my grapeseed oil and I sit on the toilet, put on the grapeseed oil, and then wipe. So I guess it is technically somewhat hygienic.
There are many roads to Rome, and the micro needling thing, I never really trust that I can do it right, and I don't want to overdo it. And people say you can break capillaries. For me, that's just like a good exfoliation, so then the products absorb.
Yeah, if you can do that. So it's just the roller, Derma Roll. It's got these tiny micro needles in them, but it's not like going to a facialist and but I don't get facials. I don't go to facials. I get bored and I always break out after.
Okay. I don't understand what a creepy vintage holy water bottle is that you collect.
I just love.
I don't want to make you walk again, but this is good exercise.
It is. I'm up. I'm down.
The baby's going to come. If you give birth on the baby, do you know how big the downloads will be?
I mean,
let's go. Now?
Let's start crowning. I like vintage apothecary bottles. Says mammary substance. I guess
because there's humor in it.
I like them. I don't know. Maybe I descend from witches. I mean, what do you collect? Do you have any?
I collect watches. I collect certain bags, and I'm trying to think of what else.
I'm not there yet. Is there anything just odd that you collect? Anything like...
it's going to come to me.
Tchotchkes? No tchotchkes?
I don't collect them, but I like snow globes. I have a decent... I like certain snow globes. They have to be very, very nice ones, but I'm going to have to think. I do collect things.
I feel like you have like the New York on Madison Avenue snow globe kind of thing.
I just think it's something that you can take a memory with you. And if you don't buy the really cheapo ones, but sometimes the cheapo ones are fun too, it is a good memory. And I put them in different places throughout the house so it doesn't feel like I'm hoarding them, but so I make them sort of decorative also. I do like snow globes. I always have. And it's more in now, like it came back, but I have always liked it.
I like tchotchkes, and I don't have them in my house. It's very austere for the most part, but in here, so I did find these holy water bottles on Etsy. Like I love like flea markets. So I did collect these like holy water bottles that were really beautiful. And I think it got online, because I gave it to Kesha.
Oh wow, okay, well that's good. And you carry a hammer in the car in case you ever see a dog or baby, hopefully, trapped in a car. You mentioned a dog, but let's add baby. Have you ever used it? Has it ever happened?
I have. And it was very, very embarrassing. Well, one time, so I've had to do it in grocery stores a couple times. You can't leave
do it in grocery stores? You need the hammer?
in the parking lot of a grocery store. Usually you can go in and do, hey, can you make an announcement and say, whoever has the blue Toyota Corolla, you need to come out here and get your dog. Like usually in LA, you can, do that first. But a law has been passed now that it is illegal. So now I can just, do it. One time I did it outside of these 12-step meetings and I smashed this window to get the dog out. And it's like a hammer, but it also has like a glass cutter on the side as well. It's worth every woman having in their car anyway. And I stormed into one of the meetings and was like, whose car is this? Whose dog is this? I'm like screaming. And it was the meeting for people, I swear to God, covering from parents with anger management. And it was like an AA meeting is like where the person actually was. And I just saw all these people just like horrified. And I'm like,
we're working on this right now. Yeah, funny you should. Yeah, and I'm glad you asked because we're working on this very issue. This is a planned simulation. We want to see how you'll react to this crazy actress.
It like couldn't have been worse. And I never lose my temper like that. Only around like when it involves children or animals, like all bets are off. Like I do not care if you think I'm an asshole. I never lose my temper around shit like that. I was like doing a helicopter with a hammer. I'm like, who's got the Yorkie in the PT Cruiser?
But do they have the windows closed?
Yes.
Windows. So why? Closed. Like, explain to me why. Like, is someone allowed to have their if it's 65 degrees outside? Is someone allowed to have their dog in the car if the windows open? Is that allowed? Would you smack? Like, what's the actual rule? Are there no dogs allowed to be in any cars no matter what, windows open or closed?
With the windows up in California is, I believe, pretty. I mean, because it's always hot here, and even if. But
why would someone keep the windows up? I don't even understand. Just crack the window. If you're, let's say, desperate and you don't have pet care and you have to go in to get a prescription and you're in an emergency, like, why wouldn't someone just crack the window if it's like 75 degrees? Okay, so OnlyFans, I didn't really know what it is. And the name sounds really nice. It doesn't sound porny at all. And I was talking to Denise Richards about her being on it and her daughter being on it. And she was kind of saying, you could do anything on there. You don't have to be not wearing clothes. And she said, you could be cooking. And I was like, oh, I could do my cottage cheese potato bagel program on there. And she's like, sure. And she's like, they'd probably prefer that you were like wearing lingerie. So what goes on OnlyFans? And then you were on OnlyFans TV and it was massive for you.
I am doing the first stand-up special for OnlyFans TV earlier in the year. I don't know. I'm sure you remember the roasts that were on Comedy Central, you know, Joan Rivers and Donald Trump. And, people started getting really scared of doing roasts. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring these back. Let's just like elevate and be more clever and not make this bottom of the barrel trash roast the way it used to all be about women's appearances and men's dicks. And,
that's what I've been saying about reality television. I've been saying you should explore, not exploit. And it's not because I'm like killing the party. It's because I'm saying like all this bullshit of just women trashing women is not creative. You can have a good conflict without, throwing your leg on the dance floor.
It's just unoriginal. It's like, we've seen it. Like now let's pivot. Let's elevate, It's like, so I'm not saying don't talk about dicks or vaginas, just make it original. We've heard all this already, and with Twitter and with, Instagram, we all as comedians have to level up and be more clever because I see these memes online that everyone's sharing that are hilarious. And I'm like, a comedian didn't make that. There's a lot of funny people out there, like it's not just us. Like we need to be funnier than all of this, So we did a roast of me and then a roast of Bert Kreischer. We put them on OnlyFans TV. It's just of.tv, totally free. You don't have to put in a password. You don't have to, get charged $4.99 and then have some weird subscription on your credit card for the rest of your life that you can't get rid of. OFTV is doing some really interesting stuff and completely uncensored. So I wouldn't have been able to do that at Netflix. I wouldn't have been able to do that at Hulu. Hulu's now owned by Disney.
But do you get paid? Was it because OnlyFans wanted to start? So you get paid and it's great for OnlyFans and it's a content to the people model, which is my entire life now. Yeah. And everybody thinks for some reason I would want to be on traditional television. I don't. I want to be content to the people.
If you're going to be on traditional television these days, you can't make fun of the vaccine. You can't say certain things. YouTube now will age restrict certain things. I had this huge porn star on my podcast and it got age restricted. It got demonetized. We have to bleep our podcast on YouTube now for for the first half hour, or you basically don't get in the algorithm.
I've literally been pitched so many shows in the last year or so. And I was going to do a show on Bravo that I backed out of because what I didn't want to do, let's talk to the suits around the table. Let's get their watered down ideas that the suits think that what they know what everyone's going to want to watch. Let's then wait 6 months to shoot it, then 6 months to edit it, then
now
do a week press tour.
All the jokes are stale, and that funny Ukraine joke is now hacky, and you look like you're not as funny as you are.
Right.
And like, it's not topical. And here's the thing, all these suits, all these executives, like, look, they go into these rooms and go, oh, let's look at Bethenny's new show. They think they have to talk as their job. Like, no one is able to go like, I loved it. Should we adjourn the meeting? Let's air it. Everyone's got
100%.
Because they're like, job security. I have to go, I don't know if I get that joke. Is she like it? They have to overthink it as their job. They're getting paid $400,000 a year. They think they have to do it to justify their existence. I remember one time I was doing a notes call with a studio, and they scheduled for a TV show. They scheduled the notes call to be an hour. And I'm like, you guys don't even know how many notes. You haven't read the script yet, and you already have the notes call being an hour. You just have to fill this hour. Your job is to just fill this hour to overthink things
and really analyze data versus going with the gut. Like really,
no one gets promoted off of going like, love it, let's air it, love it. They're like, why? So it's their job to be critical and overthink things and create problems that aren't really there. Get it out. Let the audience decide. You're not the target audience. That's why I love focus groups. I say, give it to a focus group. I'd rather
100%. Well, you have focus groups on social media also. People tell you they hate you. People tell you they love you. You could figure it out. So what's your model now? You've done 7 Netflix specials. What's your model? What's your relationship to doing Netflix specials, to going out on the road? Like, you're pregnant, you're having a baby. Like, what's the whole soup look like now?
I guess my big thing right now, it's like, I really just want to make sure that I'm doing specials in a lot of different places because, it's like I did these Comedy Central specials. I did, HBO specials. There's all these different people, networks that now my HBO specials are on Paramount Plus, my Comedy Central specials. I don't even know where those are. So I think I'm at the point where I'm kind of want to own my own content.
Yes.
So that when networks come and go, at least I'm able to have it and go, okay, let's put it on Amazon now. All right, let me take it back. And now I'll put it on Showtime. Okay, that's it. Now I'll put it on YouTube.
Yes.
However we actually get it to our audiences. And also it's important to me that it's free. Like comedy is different than a lot of other things. It's like, because you might not like it. Comedy's fashion. We need to be able to cut it up so that people can consume it on TikTok or Rumble or
it's a chicken. You need the wing. You need the broth. You need to make a bunch of different things out of the same thing. I agree. It's
going to be a different platform in 2 years. Like, that's the thing about OnlyFans TV is like, I remember when Netflix first came out and they were like, will you do a special with us? And I was like, is this the place that throws DVDs and envelopes at your door? Like, what?
Right.
I've always been a little bit, when Twitter came out, I was like, ugh, I'm not going to take pictures of my smoothies. Like, I've always been a little bit like, I'm a comic. It's embarrassing to promote yourself. I'm going to go with the established. But when you do that, you're just going to be behind. So when they're like OFTV, I'm like, that's the next thing. Let me just jump on it. Even if people make fun of me, even if people don't get it and they think it's a porn site, like I'd rather be, and this is what I learned in real estate, I'd rather be the person everyone's like, ugh, why are you moving there? And then I have the last laugh later.
Same. But it's much easier. What you didn't realize, I'm in the same place as you. What you didn't realize is it's much easier. I used to call up Andy Cohen and be like, get the cameras. Because something is, like, I got my own cameras. Like, get your own. I see behind you, there are 2 cameras in there. It doesn't even have to be the best of the best quality. So you could be performing at some shit club and have someone come and shoot it and ask them, can I have this content? And it's yours. I totally agree with you. That's what
people don't know. I mean, I remember when I was doing, Two Broke Girls, people would come up to me, and I'm not trying to, self-aggrandize, but I'm just trying to make this point, is they would come up to me and with tears in their eyes and they'd be like, Two Broke Girls changed my life, and I quit my horrible job and I started my own business because of you and because of watching Two Broke Girls. I've seen every episode backwards and forwards. And then my question was always, what network is it on? And they'd be like, no one knows. They Google Bethenny Frankel, new TV show, and whatever comes
same
up.
Page.
It's
content
freebie.
to the people.
It's Tubi, it's Freebie, it's Weeby, it's Hulu, it's HaHa. Like it's always, CISO came and went. TBS came and went. So for me, the last Netflix special I did, I paid for myself and then licensed to them. This one, licensing stuff, I think, it's going to cost you more in the short term, but then you're actually there's, sorry to get too granular here, but like there's huge comics like Sebastian, Joe Coy, Gabriel Iglesias, these comics that are selling out 50,000 seat arenas. These are some of the ones that Comedy Central didn't give specials to in the beginning. And they went, I got to shoot my own special. I got to out of pocket spend 20 grand and shoot it myself. But they're having the last laugh because they were able to put it on Sirius and Raw Dog and Spotify, and they actually own their content. I
just saw Sebastian Maniscalco for my birthday in Atlantic City.
The best. He's the best.
He is real because he's got the physical comedy angle. It's like the modern Dice Clay.
That's it.
But he really exaggerates the gestures and it really lands. And I thought he was great.
I also love that Sebastian. I have a lot to learn from him, and sorry to keep going, but now I also really want to elevate. I think that as a woman in comedy, sorry to bring gender into it. I still believe in gender. Sorry guys. But I think I'm ready to not have to lean on the look at me in my sneakers and hoodie and I'm an adult
I'm the
now.
Cute little comedy girl. You mean like that kind of thing?
Yeah, just kind of I think that self-deprecation, I had to do that for a long time in order to, feel like I wasn't, I don't have to tell you, you are way more fearless than me around this kind of stuff. But I think that on a woman, you're so ambitious. I heard that a lot. You're so Hollywood, you're very networky. If you have success or try, I'm I'm a try hard. I don't know what to tell you. I try really hard. I want to succeed. And I look at Sebastian and I'm like, this next phase is my sequin blazer phase. It's my bedazzled headband phase. I'm doing
whatever the fuck I want phase.
Yeah. I can be funny and unapologetic and feminine. And I feel like a bump it is in my future. I feel like I can be more, I want to move towards being a little more glamorous. I don't have this narrative anymore that women won't like me if I try hard or something.
Well, growing up, I've always been into comedy. I remember I was a little kid when I was watching Delirious and Raw and George Carlin. I've always been obsessed with SNL. My one dream in my life is to host SNL. It's the only dream that's unrealized. Wow. And I had an internship at NYU that I was given at SNL, but NYU wouldn't give me the credit. So SNL wouldn't let me do it because NYU wouldn't give me the credit. And I just stopped then. And I was so pissed years later because knowing who I am now, I would never have allowed that. I would have pushed through. So I've always been comedy adjacent. I was on the, whatever you call it, the dais, and I roasted Betty White at her 90th birthday at the Friars Club. So I've always dabbled. I did stand-up comedy one night and called all the comedians that I know.
One of my entertainment heroes was Dennis Rodman. I know that's random, but I remember watching him and going, I was a very serious basketball player. And it was he's defense. This guy is putting on a show.
Yes.
He is people are spending $80 to go see a game. Most people do not. They're getting a babysitter. They're paying God knows what for parking in an NBA game. And this guy is giving them a show. He's not too cool for school. He's I'm going to have blue hair. I'm going to have red hair. I'm going to wear a wedding dress. And for me, I think a lot of comics are I'm just going to lean against a wall and wear my brown hoodie and I'm barely here and I'm going to look at my... I like to be unapologetically. I am putting on a show for you.
Nice.
I want to entertain you. I want to give you the best night of your life.
I love that. I love that. It's so true. You have your opportunity up on stage. So go all in. That is absolutely true. It's funny because I never knew really who Travis Kelce was, but watching a lot of his footage of him dancing on the field, people want to see that.
Great. And also, no one's mad at you if you shine too bright. And if they are, that's their problem. That's me and my mom shit. I think my mom was kind of weirdly jealous of her kids or competitive, or maybe the scarcity complex if I wanted female comics to like me and not think that who knows, who gives a shit.
I know. That's good too. Yeah. Because other comics, you don't what the hell is she doing selling out?
Yeah. Why is she wearing bedazzled? I get these Betsy Johnson. I have a collection of bedazzled boots in every color. And I'm there's no more apologetic who me in front of 10,000 people. Let's just if you want to wear that crazy thing, wear that crazy. Let's all just go start wearing capes like Joan Rivers did and feather boas the way Phyllis Diller did. Who cares? We're dying.
Well, I feel not fraudulent, but I've always wanted to do stand-up, and I did do it the one time, 3 minutes at the New York Comedy Club.
You called me about it.
Reached out to you. And I feel when you say like, oh, you go get it, you go do it, I guess I feel fraudulent in the sense that I have never didn't really go down that road because I went to the Groundlings. I took classes at Second City. Like I've always flirted with it. But I think my cop out is that when I do speaking engagements or appearances or on my podcast, I get to insert it. But it is different. Like I watch David Spade on TikTok. It's the funniest thing you've ever seen because he's doing different stand-up jokes all day, giving them away for free. And I feel like, but he still goes on the road and really exercises the muscle. So I give you a lot of credit. Also,
I'm very jealous because you and Denise Richards did a part 2. I'm sorry I have to do another thing, but let's do a part 2. If you ever want to, I love talking to you and I want you to come on my podcast if you will. No
I want you to. I want you to.
We do have to get into our feud about the Hamptons.
100%. Yeah, and you talked about it on Kelly and Mark. All right, go have a baby. So nice to talk to you. It was really amazing, and I'm so grateful. And it was more than I thought it was going to be. I thought a lot. So yay.
I love you. Okay, I'm going to text you right after.
Have a good day.
All right, bye-bye. Thanks for having me.
Well, that was it. We couldn't launch the rocket, or the plane couldn't take off because I had so much to say before even starting to talk, which is what was amazing. The foreplay was as good as the main act. She's awesome. Wow. I think that was my favorite in a long time. And that's the only person that I could really say that I've had on that would be amazing on a podcast with me. Like that was beyond. And as a matter of fact, because I'm still a scaredy cat, maybe on her show, I'll do 10 minutes with her. Like just sit and fucking riff for 10 minutes with her.